Hello, everybody, and welcome to I've lost count of how many we've done of these Zel live team meeting on the 19th of May 2018. In this installment, we're going to be talking about the usual news and updates, and then we have a plethora of announcements, including a pretty focused-in view on what we're going to do in reaction to the recent Equihash ASICs, the new Zel platforms, and we'll also be mentioning a few more details about the formation of the legal entities. We'll also have the usual Q&A, and Trunk is with us to talk a little bit more about some design updates and changes in ZelTrez v1. In last meeting, we talked about how ZelTrez has had all 8 coins fully implemented with lightweight and full node functionality. Testers have been playing around and trying to break it, and a lot of bugs have been fixed and caught, which is great. If you want to become a tester, message us. Feel free to, and I'll probably get you added in. The teaser video was released for ZelTrez, as epic as it was. There's going to be a follow-up on release day, potentially, giving sort of an easy breakdown of ZelTrez, what it is, and sort of explaining it in an easy to understand sense. The info page is being created, and the team has had to scale its management platform, I suppose you could call it. We're starting to organize ourselves better, and it's really helping with development. And then we also talked about last week how ZelCash is remaining ASIC resistant, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that today as well. So in this week, or last 2 weeks, we've had Matthew, Olivier, and Chris who have joined the team. Matthew has brought along the 2 new Zel platforms, and he'll either be on today to talk about them or later in the week. Olivier has joined us as our head UI UX designer and developer. He comes from a startup company over in Canada. And Chris is a new full-stack dev who's joined the team, and he's going to be working currently on the new Explorer, an update for it, and then we're going to bring him on working on ZelTrez and a few other implementations and fixes for different things. ZelTrez is on time for release, May 31st. Nothing's really holding us back. We could release it now, but we want to polish it just a little bit more. The beta testing is going well, as I mentioned before, and we've reached 2,000 members on Discord, and that's without any massive campaigns or big marketing. It's just sort of gone word to mouth, really, and grown like that. And our Twitter is also nearing 800 followers. So thank you, guys. So, Equihash ASICs. Our current options, we are 100% going to be modifying and changing our algorithm to resist the ASICs. The only issue, and I think people need to come with the realization now, is it's going to be a lot more work to try and keep ASIC resistance, because it's not a question of, oh wait, we are ASIC proof. It's a question of when are ASICs actually going to be developed for the algorithm you are. So we're looking at, as mentioned before, the X16 family of algorithms that, switch algorithms or rotate them. And there's 16 of them built in, hence the name X16. We're looking to either modify that or go with the vanilla copy. The other options are modifying the NK values, which increases memory usage. For us, I feel it's a bit impractical, as it also kind of reduces decentralization, as it knocks out potentially 2, 3, 4 gigabyte cards. And we don't know if it's going to be effective until we actually have our hands on an ASIC. So it could be a lot of work for something very inefficient. And it wouldn't be much development for somebody or Bitmain themselves to create an ASIC for our modified NK values. I believe Bitcoin Z dubbed theirs ZHash. But we're not sure if that's going to be effective. If it could be, but it could not. So that's why we're looking at X16 as our best bet. And I think that sort of answers it. We're aiming to implement them by the end of June. We want to reduce the effect of ASICs as much as possible. So we're going to begin development and work on our new algo in the next few days. Daniel, you can join me now to talk about ZelCash's legal formations and entities that are forming over the next few weeks.
Sure,
if you want to
Miles.
talk about the foundation first.
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So as Miles was talking about the legal formation, so that's been obviously on the top of our list as we continue the process of building the business models. So the Zel Foundation itself, it for all intents and purposes would act as a community voice for all of us in the community that want to continue to participate and grow with Zel. There has been in the past some questions about the charitable giving in terms of when we're going to start that back up and focused on that. And that's one of the things that I take pride in on this project, as well as I want to see this, the foundation itself develop. And really, honestly, two different factors. The first one is the actual community involvement of the technology and growth of Zel, but I also want to be involved with the charitable based part of the organization. So, as Zel Technologies Incorporated, which is the business arm, which is ZelTrez as well, is formed, the Zel Foundation will be formed in tandem with it to provide voice to the community as well. So I think they work together in a very symbiotic relationship, and I think that the foundation will help with governance on some of what is happening with the technologies. I can't get really into the legal structure yet because it continues to kind of mature and change as we're going through these processes of discernments. But if you look at some of the foundations, like perhaps the ZelCash Foundation or Zico Company, it would closely emulate something like that. So the foundation really has a voice and representation for the people to make sure that this remains and stays a community-based coin.
Exactly. One thing that was brought up recently was ZelTrez being closed source, and questions are arising around that. I'd like to start by saying the team has put in, especially Trunk, has put in, I'd say, hundreds of hours into developing, probably even hit 1,000, maybe. Who knows how long you've been spending on it? But there's been a lot of work on ZelTrez, man hours spent, and we don't want to sort of give that away for free. And it's our platform to develop on. So we need to, and I use the quote, we need to feed ourselves. We need to pay the bills. We need to pay developers. Not everyone works for free, and as this book is becoming some of our full-time jobs over the next few weeks and months, we need to have a stable income. We can't just be selling the dev fund to fund everybody. And it's not what we want to do. It's not what we have been doing. It's not what we aim to do ever, really, to pay wages, to maintain servers. We prefer to have ZelTrez's infrastructure maintained by coins listing on ZelTrez, and eventually, when Zeldex is released, paid for by fees and coins listings as well. So
Miles, I just want to share as well that it would be remiss of us not to establish a business model that would support the growth of the Zel Technologies piece of it. So we did not take a founder's fee. There was a dev fee that was created, and if we as a business model would say, well, we'll live off of what the dev fee is and we'll continue to keep developing, the project can go stagnant. And it also doesn't give us the ability, the dev fund can help fund exchanges and things like that, whereas the technologies begins to create a sustainable business model of ongoing income. So you really look at it in two different ways, and the Zel Technologies business model will help feed and propagate and grow the foundation. So it really is a kind of an ingenious idea of how these two will work together.
Sure. And recently someone actually posted how Switzerland was voted as one of the best, most friendly countries for cryptocurrencies and blockchain businesses. That's why we chose Switzerland. That's why we haven't done it off the Cayman Islands or British Virgin Islands or wherever else some people were suggesting. We're doing it in the best place in the world, the correct way, and it's how we intend to carry on, really. So you'll probably, the next live stream you'll see will be me, Trunk, and Lumi. We'll be in Switzerland, and we'll host a Q&A live. It'll be the first time we've met in person, and we'll be forming the company the day after. So look forward to that, I suppose. So next, we'll be talking about the new platforms that, since we've had Matthew join the team, we had mentioned, I believe, months ago, the idea of ZelID. I'm not sure if we mentioned it live or not, but we were beginning to formulate the idea of ZelID, and it looks like Matthew has come up with a different variation of that, and that seems to be the one we might be implementing. He'll be coming on either later today or over the next week to talk about ZelID and how it will function. But basically, Matthew developed a zero-proof authentication system that utilizes signatures generated by a wallet public key and private key. That can be done on mobile, it can be done on desktop, and you can obviously log in using the private keys to access your account. So the idea is to provide a decentralized authentication system, the likes of a similar project that he developed, Auth Party. So we're looking to bring that. It's going to be an alpha very soon, and then we'll be porting it over to the Zel development network when that's released later this year. Also, ZelPay. This is going to become something pretty interesting for us on a similar scale to ZelTrez, really. In the same sense that it's going to be more business focused, and the first implementation of ZelPay will be seen on our merch store. And as we begin to expand that, it's taking a more business approach to give businesses easy acceptance of crypto, Zel, etc. And we've got quite a few good ideas to bring it into fruition. So you'll hear more about that as well soon. Essentially next, probably mid-June, we'll do a live meeting, which will be more focused on the business front of Zel. Okay, so the community help we're looking for currently. The merch updates, we're asking for designs, guys. We need you artists to come out there. You know, if you want a blue Lambo with a Zel logo on it, submit it, make it, and we'll get it printed if there's enough upvotes for it. You know, whatever you want, we can get made and check it up on the store, and you can buy it for Zel. So we're still looking for designs. I don't think there's any ongoing voting for Zel on exchanges, but to give people an update, that's an ongoing process. After the business entity is formed, Zel Technologies, we will be able to focus more on exchanges and aim to get on larger exchanges. But for us, I think Zeldex will be a big milestone, as it'll be our own platform that we're going to aim to really get out there. Okay, so help with translations, always welcome. Social media manager position, no one stepped up. We're asking for someone. None of us really want to do it, and we would appreciate someone that has professional experience with it. So feel free to apply by DMing Parker with interest, trial123 on Discord. And if you think you have any other skills that are useful to the team, you know, please apply, please DM Parker again, and we'll be happy to set up an interview and talk with you if it's necessary. Here's just a flash up of some frequently asked questions. So we'll move on to the Q&A. While we have the Q&A, I think, Trunk, you're going to talk a little bit about ZelTrez and the design updates that have been ongoing since we've had testers play around with it. All right.
Yeah, sure, I can talk about it. If you can switch screen to me, I can show some updates on ZelTrez.
Sure. That should switch over. Perfect.
Okay, so as you can see, we've got a new logo for ZelTrez. It's kind of nicely white, and we want to distinguish between ZelCash itself and ZelTrez platform. So that's the first major change, and the second major change is that we replaced our original blue design with a glossy black design. Everything is now blurred, so log in. Our side panel is now blurred and is kind of in black. As a coin overview is blurred and everything is differently. Right. We can change the background, and the background itself is now determines the look of the wallet itself. The transaction now scales properly up to the bottom. We get a send temple. And after a transaction is completely sent, you can see the ID or show it in an Explorer. Then in the full node section, we have implemented some download state of the files, so you know what's kind of going on. And once the files are verified, we can go ahead to the full node.
I could also quickly mention the different optimizations you've made over the last few days as well. Could you talk a little bit about those?
Sure, ZelTra is growing. We are adding more features, and the size of the package is going less on weight. So we are also optimizing the code and making it faster. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. So I'll pass the word to you.
All right. So, any questions? Fire them away. We'll be live for a few more minutes. And sorry for this shorter live meeting than usual. Like I said, Matthew will be on later this week to talk a little bit more about ZelPay and ZelID, and the development of them and how they're gonna be implemented. So if you have any questions, fire them away. We'll be on for the next few minutes. Excuse the awkward silence. We haven't got any fancy music. Sorry. Okay, Trunk, question for you.
Great.
Somebody has asked, would it be possible to export a SCV, kind of like Excel, right, of your transactions and the transaction history for each coin for tax purposes? And then how many transactions does it currently store?
We are showing last 50 transactions in light mode of the wallet. In the full node, you can see every transaction. And it is currently not possible to export the transactions. It is a good idea, and yeah, good suggestion.
Good suggestion. Throw it in suggestions, I think, Mark. It's a good idea. Someone's asked on YouTube, Equihash algorithm change or fork. So we want to get something pretty clear here. Actually, it's a good time to verify it. Right. The code, you can call it a code fork. The code is being changed, and the old version isn't necessarily compatible with the new version and the way it operates. But the way the network will change isn't there's going to be a new ZelCash, and we're going to have ZelCash Cash or ZelCash Private or something, or ZelCash Prime or ZelCash BTC. But what's going to happen is, let's say at block 100,000, we're going to change algorithm, let's say. It's not what we are going to do at block 100,000, but using it as an example. So all previous blocks, 99,999, are going to be with the Equihash format. They're going to be Equihash hash, and the way they verify is going to have to be modified to work with the new algorithm, X16. So what we will do is all those previous coins will still work. Oh, go on then, Trunk. You can talk about it then.
We are actually aiming for a slow transition from changing the algorithm from Equihash to X16 variant. So let's say for the first 1000 blocks, we will be accepting both Equihash algorithm and X16 variant.
Like a slow start, yeah.
Yeah, and the majority will come from the Equihash algorithm, let's say 90%. Then the next 1000 blocks, we will split it to 80% for Equihash, 20% to X16. And as the time goes on, we will force the change to be only to X16. So it will not be
A sudden
swap in algorithm, but a slow process will take, for example, 10,000 blocks. That's just a guess. 10,000. It can be 1,000 blocks. It can be bigger or smaller. We are not sure yet.
Sorry, made a mistake. But yeah, it's gonna be, as Trunk then corrected me, it's gonna be a gradual change, and pool operators will have to update, and miners will have to change what they're mining with their software. But the aim is to make sure everyone's alerted correctly, everyone knows, and it'll just be a simple update for most miners. Okay, question. Is it possible to change the location of the wallet payload, i.e. other location other than C drive in regards to ZelTres? I guess he's talking about when it's being installed and where it's saving, where it's installing full node files, Trunk. Can you redirect it?
Full node files are strictly set in, for example, in Windows, in app data. In Linux, it's .zelcash, for example, in your home directory. And you can't change the location of your wallet file. You can change the position of the blocks you download, but you need to specify it yourself in zelcash.config file. We are currently not given an option to change the downloaded binaries that ZelTres is using, and we are not planning to do so. And this installation folder cannot be changed for ZelTres as well. This is set and it will be this way. ZelTres is currently using about 100 megabytes of space once it's fully installed, so it's not a big application to require a change. So
yep. How are you processing the new exchanges, and what can be done to progress this along? Daniel, you can talk a little bit more about this as you've been doing outreach to exchanges. But it's going to come gradually. It's going to probably happen. We're talking midsummer if there's going to be another exchange. We might do a smaller exchange, maybe like Trade Satoshi in the meantime. But our aim is to set up the business entities and then to target the bigger exchanges. Correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, please.
No, you're absolutely right, Miles. And with a lot of the changes that are happening in the crypto sphere around getting a listing on a major exchange, it isn't a matter of just throwing money at them anymore. I mean, although they've raised the prices quite a bit.
Although we just say we applied to an unnamed top 10 exchange and they asked for $800,000.
Yeah, they did.
$800,000, and then there were some other interesting requirements as well. So it's very.
And I think what you'll see, we're very transparent about this. We want we want to be on another exchange, a secondary exchange. Stocks for the most part has been fairly good here recently. No issues, decent volume. We want to obviously see that continue to increase. And we are targeting and very aggressively larger exchanges, but we're not going to give away the kingdom to get a listing. And I think what you're going to see is a lot of this is more or less a cash grab right before they start to tighten up the restrictions a bit. But there are pieces now where you actually have to be legally reviewed. You have to have your team vetted. Yeah, I mean, so we've got all the pieces in place to do all of this, and the applications are moving forward. But the criteria for getting something on exchange has changed immensely, and even just to try to throw something up on Yobit is all but impossible anymore. So we're continuing to work through it. We have very good leads. When it gets close to time to make those announcements, we will. But fundamentally, we are working on the project, and that's our focus. And I think we'll eventually get to the point where the hard work that we're putting in and the fundamentals that we're putting in will pay off dividends with a larger exchange.
Definitely. So I think that'll do it for this live meeting. We'll have Matthew on later in the week talking about ZelPay and ZelID, and we'll be discussing actively with the community over the next few weeks the Argo swap and what our plans for it are. And then obviously we'll have the next live stream from Switzerland. Thank you guys, and goodbye.